So, I've never done this sort of devlog type video, but it's a thing I can do, I guess. So here's me doing an ad for a thing I did. It's available for free right now on itch.io. So go get it, try it out, and then come back here to learn how it works. Or I'll find you. So, once upon a time, I was standing in front of my fridge, screaming incomprehensibly, like every other day, when I thought, hey, I like digging around with ChatGPT. So what if I made a game inspired by it? And so it was. But here's the thing. Though I am an amateur developer, and as amateur devs go, I have a tendency to overreach with my capabilities. As an example, my last project before this game was an attempt to simulate an entire medieval village. That one went about as well as you'd imagine. Despite the schedule and the villagers dying of hunger working, nothing else about it did. So why was I drawn to an idea to recreate ChatGPT? Well, because I wasn't recreating it. I wasn't trying to recreate a tool which refuses to call me a sexy YouTuber. Those goddamn liberals, they did it again. I wanted something that would respond to certain keywords with predetermined sentences. And that was surprisingly easy. So I had the idea you would be talking to a robot and having a chat with it, but I just needed a setup. It turns out, however, that my brain has way too many of those, and I had the perfect one. New Dawn is a setting which, besides Discord RP servers, no, not those ones, go fuck yourself, has never seen the light of day. And to give it the briefest possible summary, it's basically the East Coast Fallout but without mutants. And there is one character in it, called Oswaldus, who travels from the West Coast eastwards with a giant-ass army of murder bots. So I thought, why not make the game around that moment? The moment where this character is given a fucking plasma rifle in a world of constant knife fights. So that was the concept. For the environment I needed just a small amount of assets, as again, it's basically just a game about a conversation, and I ended up using the Flooded Grounds asset from the Unity store, which looks amazing. And I also used Adobe Fuse's program, which is on Steam by the way. Fuse is one of the easiest ways to make 3D models that I've ever seen, which is great for me because I fucking hate modeling. These 2 hours on Blender here, I left it running. I hate that I hate modeling because it is desperately needed if you don't want to rely on other people's assets. But yeah, Fuse is great. It works just like The Sims, and you then export your character as an OBJ file and take it to Mixamo, which is another free site that lets you rig your characters in like 2 button clicks. It's a godsend. So I got my robot built, and then it was time to code. The robot barely qualifies as an AI, but fuck it. Everyone is saying everything is powered by AI when it just makes your menu slightly more convenient for you. So, I used advanced algorithmic calculations powered by quantum AI to make this robot talk properly with the player. No, you walk up to him, press a button, and the talk menu appears, which is where the ChatGPT inspirations come in. You type in what you want here, and the robot answers here, and it's all handled by one insanely long method in the script. There might be a better way to, have it register what that you say all of this, but I don't really know. And if a talking Portuguese cartoon taught me anything, is that as long as it works, That's what matters. And so I basically wrote the conversation to the good ending, where you get a robot army, which, fun fact, the models I use for the army are the same as the bot. Then I also wrote the conversation to the bad ending and added a sort of relationship system. It's not really a relationship system, it's a meter that goes up the more you acknowledge what he talks about and compliment him, and goes down if you're rude or don't accept what he tells you. But I ain't really got a better name for it. I also made a few poses and animations for him to kind of highlight his broken state and make the conversation a bit more fun, and generally for it to have some pizzazz. I might add more in the future, but I don't really know. I could only think of 5 poses for him. I wouldn't say that coding was the hard part, as when I realized what I needed to make for him to respond to more things, I just copy-pasted the same if statement over and over again, changing what I needed. There was one very weird bug that came up. So I have the option for you to compliment the robot, where you can say stuff like amazing or cool. All of those keywords worked, except for cool, which for some reason made the bot give out the standard greeting response rather than my compliment response. I was losing my mind over this. I was considering just deleting the keywords since there are 2 others that work fine, until I simply added a debug log to the script. And to the ones that don't know what that line does, it just sends a log to your Unity console reading whatever you wrote. That's all it does. And it somehow fixed the bug. As long as it works, that's what matters. But it fucking works. The robot talks. He's limited on what he can say, of course, but he speaks enough. And then came the real problem. It's a game about a conversation, where half the conversation relies on specific words. Specific words which are phrased like I speak. And according to what my psychologist says, I am not the only person on the planet. Somehow. So that's the real issue. I wound up handing the game over to some family members so they can try it, and it highlighted what I thought. They couldn't figure out how to continue because the keywords were more phrases and sentences than anything. So I went back, reverted all the keywords for the main conversation to just 1 word for each sentence, which should help the situation, but it's definitely not solved. In a planet with 8 billion people, there are countless ways of asking what the time is. You can complete the game, obviously. I didn't publish something that's unfinished, but you need to be aware if the way to continue the conversation seems obvious, but the robot doesn't register. It may be because I didn't account for how you write. You fucking barbarian. Why don't you write like a normal person? Like me, who's better than everyone watching? But that was it. The robot was programmed, including some randomized poses that he does, animated by me, and the game was technically done. I did some minor bug fixing, like one bug where the character controller kept walking forward if the player entered the conversation while still pressing any of the movement keys. I added in a secret ending, made the menu, and that was it. The game was done. At the end of this video, I have one small request. If a short game where you talk to a 200-year-old robot sounds like it's up your alley, head to the link in the description. It should take you to the game. It's called The Park, by the way, and again, it's free, so you don't have to pay for anything. If you run into issues whatsoever, you can write it in the comments below or in the comments on the itch.io page. Thank you.